Support me, Dr. Pepper. I need a sponsor, and I will sell out. Weird tasting. Hello and welcome. It is 10:30. It is the 11th day of March 2021. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM. I put the S in sarcasm and super. It is Mega Power March. It is the 11th day of Mega Power March. All March, we are taking a look at the beloved world of superhero role-playing games. And today we're talking about my second favorite. Well, maybe my favorite. Maybe my favorite superhero role-playing game of all time. Definitely the game I have played the most that isn't Dungeons & Dragons. And that is Villains and Vigilantes 2nd Edition. I'm not talking about the weird champions, living legends, or the current version, or the Monkey House Games version of Villains and Vigilantes. I'm talking Villains and Vigilantes before all the weirdness happened. 2nd Edition is probably the single role-playing game I have played the most other than Dungeons & Dragons. If I ever did the math of just pure amount of hours, Villains and Vigilantes would maybe be equal to, if not more, than of just the amount I've played Villains and Vigilantes 2nd Edition. I love this game. It's my favorite superhero game of all time, even though it's ridiculous. One of the many things that make this game great is that it gives you everything you need in 41 pages. 41 pages. It tells you how to make characters, tells you how to run combat, tells you how to build worlds, gives you ideas for running superhero role-playing games. That's 41 pages counting art and DM inserts like the screen and numbers and, duplicates and appendixes. Heroes Unlimited is probably 250 pages. Mutants and Masterminds was sitting on my shelf. By the way, the 350th subscriber to my vlog will win that copy of Mutants and Masterminds sitting on my shelf. That's probably, 200 pages? The teeny D6 Supers, a game that in its very name should be, take up a lot of page, was almost 300 pages. And most of that was that very bizarre, every female is gay world of the creators. Was completely unnecessary. The actual engine, 24 pages, 30 pages. Everything you needed to know about that game, 30 pages. Everything you need to know about Mutants and Masterminds, 20, 30 pages. If you just take out all the unnecessary self-gratulation, this is my world crap. Heroes Unlimited, well, that's a mess, and we'll talk about that in a different vlog because it's probably my third favorite superhero role-playing game of all time. Now, there's a lot of complaints about Vigilantes. Random powers. The powers don't really make sense. You have to play yourself as your first character, which, if you're playing Villains and Vigilantes about the same time I first started playing Villains and Vigilantes, means you were a teenager or younger. So it's hard to picture, 10-year-olds with 6 superpowers or 15-year-olds with 6 superpowers. But except, of course, comics are filled with teenagers and younger individuals with superpowers. So it's not that. But there's complaints about V&V because of the randomness. I want to build my character. I can't do anything with random characters. Well, if you've been watching my vlog every day for the last 11 days, you've seen that I have randomly generated characters every single day for Mega Power March. And every one of those characters I've managed to make sense. Even the one that I rolled today with the 6 powers, Geiger, made sense. I mean, it took a little bit of, hemming and hawing and imagination, but completely random character, totally I could work together. So yes, even if you roll, Aaron the Relentless posted that he always gets stretching and electrical powers. And how did I make the sense of that? It's like, dude, you're an eel. You're an electric eel. It totally makes sense. How does that not make sense? Stretching and electrical powers? Eel. You're the eel. So, yeah, random powers can work. There have been hemming and hawing and home rules to try and make the random powers make a little bit more sense, but every random character I've generated works, so it works. And as for the rule for playing yourself and trying to judge your own stats. Oh, I think I've got an 18 IQ and a 74 charisma because the chicks dig me. Yeah, that rule probably needs some work, randomly generating stats or at least coming up with points for stats to figure out stats. If you're just trying to guess your own stats, you're always, And of course, the random weaknesses is a complaint. But all in all, Villains and Vigilantes, especially Villains and Vigilantes 2nd Edition, the one I'm talking about, is a great superhero game that totally works. It's one of the few games where you can make a Batman-esque character and a Superman-esque character, and they both feel like they're contributing to the game. The system works in such a weird way that a character with, 6 uber powers and a character with 2 mediocre powers both feel like they are equally competent, equally have something to offer the game. Now, the combat system, yes, is a mess as well. There's lots of complaints about the combat system, especially initiative. The initiative system definitely favors individuals with higher dexterity and heightened speed, to the point where almost every character people started making had some form of higher dexterity, even if it didn't fit the character concept, because they knew the combat system and the initiative system totally favored high dex, high speed characters. And the same with the attack and defenses table. Now you look at the attack and defense table, and it's pretty decent because it lists every attack and every defense and how each attack would affect every defense. But there's some cases where it definitely needs work. I remember one game I was playing where a friend of mine was running an android and got mind controlled by a villain. And her argument was, how can a villain mind control me? I'm an android. I don't have a human brain. But the DM's argument was, well, he rolled and you failed the roll. Now, is that an example of bad DMing, or is that an example of a bad combat system? I mean, an open-minded DM would say, well, okay, you're an android, you have an android AI brain, so my mind control wouldn't affect you, but my machine power characters would be able to affect you. So, yes, you're right. I can't mind control you because you don't have a human mind, and my villain is controlling human minds. So, yes, I'll give that to you, even though the combat system says, yeah, no, I was successful. So, yeah, the combat system definitely in 2nd edition needs some work. First, it's lower the better instead of higher the better, which is counterintuitive. I know there's a lot of BX fans, OSR fans out there who are like, no, D&D, it was built around lower the better and THACO and stuff like that. Yeah, lower the better is counterintuitive. So, one thing I appreciate is, straight higher the better. You're trying, systems. People say, oh, what about systems? Blah, blah, blah. That's you, dude. If you like a system where you roll under, if you like a system where lower is the better, where you like a system where a critical is 1 and a fail is 20, that's fine for you. I don't. That's just the way my brain works. I find it counterintuitive, but whatever. Perhaps if I drank some more Dr. Pepper, I'd see things your way. You should all buy me a Dr. Pepper. Yeah, see what I did there? But all in all, Villains and Vigilantes 2nd Edition is a great little starter superhero game. You can make characters really quick, just roll up, do the math, bam. It has some great adventures that are still stand the test of time. Crisis of Crusader Citadel is still a great introductory superhero game. Adventure that I find ways to use constantly, no matter what I'm running. If I'm running superheroes, the first adventure I run is usually some variation of Crisis of Crusader Citadel. And the powers are very simple, easy to understand. A lot of them are very weird, open-ended. Some of the math doesn't make sense. Obviously, it was written a long time ago, and a lot of it probably has to be, adapted and worked on and house-ruled to make more work with the modern-day aesthetics of how we think, gaming should work, and, more like after play testing this a few thousand times, this doesn't really work. It needs to be changed. And Jeff D did change it. There was V&V 3rd edition. There was the weird Champions ripoff Living Legends. There was the Monkey House Games version of V&V. And there's his new one, Protector's Universe, which is a combination of Living Legends, and classic V and V. So obviously with the various rewritings, some of the powers have been reworked to make more sense. And you could always, like I do, crib from Heroes Unlimited, because that's still the greatest source book for superpowers that I've ever found. But all in all, my Mega Power review for the game this week, despite all its flaws, and yes, it does have a lot of flaws, it's still a great little superhero system I still love. It's still probably my favorite superhero role-playing game. It's still my go-to. It's one of the few games where you could have a Superman-esque character and a Batman-esque character, and despite the weirdness and despite the power discrepancy, they just work together. And they both can contribute because of the way the game is written. So yeah, it's not perfect. I can't give it a natural 20 because there is so many things wrong with it. But I'd take it over TD6 Heroes any day. And Mutants and Masterminds any day, but that's just me. So don't get mad at me because I said that. That's my opinion, what I like. It doesn't mean you have to like it. This is not me telling you what you have to think. Though I do think you should support me. And if you haven't subscribed to my vlog yet, I do think you should. In fact, I'm using my mind control powers. Please subscribe to my vlog if you haven't yet. Help me hit 500 subs by August 4th. We'll do something crazy. Remember, the 350th sub will win that copy of Mutants and Masterminds that is taking space on my shelf. I will talk to you super dudes later. Random powers for the win.